a 23-year-old advance man from Syracuse, New York, didn't enlist in the 1988 Dukakis presidential campaign with ambitions to oversee the worst political event in history. Despite modest misgivings about what his assignment held in store, only in hindsight could the gangly, khaki-clad operative form a fuller perspective on the catastrophe that lay in store on his watch. Advanced people, as much as they try to anticipate disaster when serving a presidential candidate, can't foretell the future. And even if he could smell doom for the event itself, as Bennett thought he might, who would listen to the warnings of a fresh-faced young man just off a plane in Detroit? In the summer of 1988, Mike Dukakis looked well-positioned to wrest the White House from the Republicans who held on to presidential power for 16 of the previous 20 years. One task before him was selecting a running mate. Among the names floated for the shortlist were Bob Graham of Florida, John Glenn of Ohio, Sam Nunn of Georgia, Tom Foley of Washington, and Lloyd Bentsen of Texas. Picking a vice presidential running mate is a process first cloaked in secrecy and then bathed in marketing. Part beauty contest and part background check, it is also the first decision-making test of a party's nominee. On July 13, 1988, Dukakis announced that Senator Lloyd Bentsen, a bomber pilot in World War II, would be his wingman, reprising the Massachusetts-Texas axis of the 1960 Democratic ticket. Jack Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson beat the Republican incumbent vice president in 1960, Dukakis said, referring to Richard Nixon and his running mate, Henry Cabot Lodge, at a rally at Faneuil Hall, Bentsen beaming at his side. And Mike Dukakis and Lloyd Bentsen are going to beat him in 1988. But that summer, the Republican Party was also putting someone on Dukakis' ticket. Their choice was clear. His name was Willie Horton. Horton, of South Carolina by way of the Northeastern Correctional Center in Concord, Massachusetts, was not on Dukakis campaign chairman Paul Brontes's vetting list. A convicted murderer, Horton was serving a life sentence when he was released on June 6, 1986, as part of a weekend furlough program put in place for Massachusetts inmates, but didn't return from his hiatus. Instead, 10 months later, he raped a woman in Maryland and beat her fiancé to a pulp before being captured by the Prince George's County Police Department. Maryland refused to extradite Horton to Massachusetts out of fear he might be furloughed again. The awareness campaign for Candidate Horton, the slowly building linkage between a convicted criminal and a presidential candidate, began in the primary season but reached a crescendo on October 13th at the second presidential debate between Bush and Dukakis, moderated by Bernard Shaw of CNN at UCLA's Pauley Pavilion in Los Angeles. Some 67.3 million people watched at home, making it the fourth most watched debate in history. It was the year that the Commission on Presidential Debates, or CPD, debuted as the presidential debate sponsor, taking over for the League of Women Voters. The CPD brought with it a striking, made-for-television set that endures to this day. The candidates stand at identical podiums on a bright red carpet installed for the event. They appear before a royal blue backdrop or hard wall, like those that once flattered the anchormen on news programs, framing them against a strong, flat color. In the hard wall, hard to see by those watching at home, is a hole through which a TV camera takes reverse shots of the moderators without distracting the viewer. Above the candidates rests a graphic depiction of a bald eagle alighting on a shield of the stars and stripes. In the eagle's beak billows a ribbon that proclaims in all capitals, "The Union and the Constitution forever." The old League of Women Voters debate sets simply used a draped curtain as a backdrop. In addition to marketing itself with these words and icons of strength and nostalgia, the CPD also catered to the vanity of the candidates. Vice President Bush, at 6'2", and Governor Dukakis, half a foot shorter, represented the widest height differential in any presidential campaign